We all know that pain can have a ripple effect through generations. Consider this quote: "Everyone you meet is either unknowingly born into a cycle of generational trauma or knowingly carrying the burden of breaking those cycles." Now, if you find yourself bumping up against that statement, perhaps you think, I have no generational trauma, watch this video until the end and let me know what you think. An important distinction here is that generational trauma is more than just how your grandfather parented your dad, right? It involves all of the trauma experienced from those that came before us. Every war, every plague, every tragedy made a difference. There's also the fascinating subject of generational strength, and there's science to back it up. Epigenetics is the study of heritable traits, and in 2016, Dr. Rachel Yehuda, a neuroscientist and herself a daughter of Holocaust survivors, published research that showed for the first time that epigenetic changes caused by exposure to trauma can be passed on to children born after the event. There's also very similar research being done on veterans dealing with PTSD and the long-term effects of that. Regarding the Holocaust research, Dr. John Crystal, a research psychiatrist, said, quote, "The children may inherit traits that promote resilience as well as vulnerability." Humanity's understanding of itself is still in its infancy. For as much as we don't know, we do know the power of cycle breaking. Homo sapiens came into being 300,000 years ago. It was only about a century and a half ago, in 1870, that the United States population surpassed its literacy threshold to over 50%. For the first time, the tides were turning from relying largely on oral histories passed down through families to people being able to digest books worth of ideas and write books of their own. Only 26 years later, in 1896, was psychotherapy established in its modern iteration. That's only 128 years of somewhat kind of widespread access to self-development beyond a religious answer to negative thoughts and feelings. It wasn't even until the early 1900s that people were like, hey, maybe child labor laws should be a thing, which was widely agreed to be a step in the right direction in viewing children as something that wasn't just to be seen and not heard. Members of the silent generation grew up during the Great Depression, World War II, and the post-war era, all without much access to therapy, or even just terms like emotional intelligence, which was coined by two psychologists in 1975. The contents of readings remind me every single day that we are all on a path to healing. Undoubtedly, we all have to process the hands we're dealt. But there's great empowerment when the buck stops here. We can take the best of those that came before us and strive to leave a better world behind. When we heal our inner child, we reclaim our personhood. Be the adult that you as a child needed.